Il mio potere.
Claudio Serafino.
Claudio Serafino is the leader of the Archers of Sirius, a secretive group of exorcists that have shaped European history for hundreds of years. Claudio is a simple yet effective character, with a focus on controlling the mid-range with his superior range and tracking. If the opponent becomes exasperated and whiffs, Claudio can easily punish with his notorious hop kick, and if they turtle up, he boasts one of the best approach tools in the game. After landing several key moves, Claudio also gains access to a unique power-up in Starburst. With Blue Flame in hand, the pale-eyed exorcist becomes significantly more dangerous. At the core of Claudio's game is his infamous hop kick. This is a launcher with tremendous range that's used to punish whiffs with ease. However, a skilled opponent won't just throw out moves for no reason. Fortunately, Claudio has an arsenal of mid-range tools designed to test their patience. For example, down 3 is a fast range low that slips under highs. While it's negative on hit, so can't be used to set up offense, if the opponent tries to recklessly attack afterwards, they're easy prey for a well-placed. His 1+2 string, the Akira-looking Stanopalmo di Dumo, is also a powerful mid-whiff punisher which slightly outranges his hop kick and often goes unpunished on block. Claudio controls horizontal space exceptionally well thanks to his incredible tracking moves, in particular back 1. This is a safe mid that's relatively fast for its range, but what really makes it stand out is the way Claudio will deceptively slip back while recovering. This means that if the opponent overextends, it can be used to set up whiff punishes, especially when coupled with a backdash. You can also use forward 3 in a similar way due to the pushback. This move has the benefit of a combo on counter hit, but it's a high and runs the risk of getting floated, so isn't as stable as back 1. From the mid to far range, Claudio can explode into an offensive with running 2. This boasts incredible range, speed, damage, and is also massively plus on block. It's generally unwise to try to challenge Claudio after, so if you have the execution, repeated point-blank running 2s can quickly push the opponent's back to the wall. This move's biggest weakness is that it's a high, and from range it's quite telegraphed by the preceding dash motion. So, mix this up with forward 4, which is a safe, ranged mid-knee from a dash. So, in the mid-range, Claudio has a basic but effective spacing mix-up between back 1, which hits sidestep or duck, forward 4, which hits ducking from a distance, and running 2 to initiate pressure. After landing a hit from several key moves, or his rage drive on block, Claudio will shout Osserva, Italian for observe, and his right hand will ignite with a blue flame. With Starburst activated, Claudio becomes much more threatening. His down 2 low string is now a launcher. While it's possible to react to the second hit and block, it does set up a mix-up from crouch. However, this is quite easily fuzzy guarded and is overall a bit gimmicky. The star of the show though, no pun intended, is forward 1+2, which has huge range, damage, some high evasion, and is immensely hard to step, which often means the opponent just has to sit there and take repeated running 2s, improving Claudio's space control from very good to lethal. Another useful buff is the down 1-2 mid-mid counter hit string, which becomes massively plus on block, as well as knocking down and wall splatting. Watch out though, as this can be stepped right or punch parried on block if the opponent is sharp. Other minor buffs are the back 4-3-2 mid-ender becoming a safe launcher, and his down back 1+2 becoming an uninterruptible, unblockable string. Now, while this sounds crazy, it's actually quite gimmicky since the second hit is easily stepped and launched, but it is effective on unaware opponents. Overall though, the main threat in Opal Fruit is the twirly launch from forward 1+2. The mere threat of this can see opponents with their back to the wall very quickly. Claudio's lacking mix-ups utterly transform when he pushes opponents to the wall. There is a simple and incredibly effective synergy between back 1 to keep people in place and down forward 3-1 hit confirm to whiff punish. These tools keep the opponent locked in place, terrified to duck, and ripe for sidestep 4. This general approach is broadly similar to Geese, who uses sidestep 3, 2 forward 1, and down forward 2 for a similar triple threat. As such, in open space, it's often more effective to use moves like Claudio's running 2 to push opponents to the wall, rather than specifically relying on his weak lows. Claudio has the smallest move list on the roster, and even out of those moves, he only needs a handful to be successful. He really is a character that's focused around quickly conditioning the opponent with a small but effective set of tools. This simplicity and ease of use allows Claudio players to focus more on the opponent rather than managing their arsenal, and this makes him well suited to short sets such as tournaments. Claudio's simplicity can equally work against him though. Since he has such a limited pool of useful moves, he can become predictable. This means that generally the longer a set goes on, the weaker Claudio becomes. Claudio lacks a generic down forward 1, and his closest equivalent in back 3 is quite short-ranged and poor on block. However, in Season 3, it has now become more intimidating thanks to the follow-up, which we'll get into later. Also, while his basic jab boasts a very impressive vertical hitbox, surprisingly able to beat out many otherwise evasive moves, his strings from a jab are very limited. Claudio's biggest weakness though is that his lows and throws aren't very intimidating, which makes it difficult for him to make comebacks when on a life deficit against smart defensive players. Claudio's only command grab comes from a dash, and so is quite easy to break. Down back 3 crushes highs, combos on counter hit, and is plus on hit, but it's seeable and very punishable, though you may be able to get away with a few online. Claudio's best tool to break down a turtle is sidestep 4, which has seen some decent improvements in Season 3, but is still reasonably challenging to land outside the wall. In addition, he's left standing the entire time, and so is very open to counter hits. From Season 1 to Season 2, Claudio saw some big changes to his overall game plan. In particular, his abusable and annoying hop kick was made slower to recover on whiff, making his keep-out game weaker. However, he gained a bevy of offensive tools in return. In comparison, the changes to Season 3 Claudio are quite conservative, and mostly just serve to refine the changes laid out in Season 2, overall resulting in a more consistent, logical, and rounded character. The most important change is to his back 1. Previously we talked about how important this move is to Claudio's core game plan, so the fact that it's less negative on block makes whiff punishing after considerably easier. Claudio's close-range poking game has always been a bit lackluster, so his back 3 receiving a mid-string extension is really helpful. This only combos when undelayed on counter hit, and is -13 on block, so you can't just throw it out recklessly. However, if you notice the opponent is constantly challenging you after a back 3 on block, let the string loose and you'll be rewarded with a full combo on counter hit. This should slow the opponent down and make them hesitate, allowing Claudio to apply more pressure. Hand in hand with this change is an improved Sidestep 4, his main plus on hit low. This now gives significantly more advantage on hit, and on counter hit a free 3+4, down back 3, and on balcony stages even a full combo after a sidestep right. When considered in tandem with the new back 3/3 string, and Claudio's wide assortment of plus on block mids and counter hit strings, he can actually be somewhat scary now when on the offensive. Though, fast panic moves and backdashing in open space are still something that he struggles with. Down forward 3-1 is now very easy to hit confirm, and is also a true frame trap after sidestep 4. It can wall splat from a mile away, and is one of the main reasons Claudio is so scary when at the wall. Also, the back 3+4 backswing blow is now a wall bounce, making it a damaging callout on mashing opponents. Claudio also received tons of minor improvements to relatively mediocre moves. For example, down back 2-1, down 2-2, down back 4-3, and down back 3 all give slightly more advantage on hit. But aside from maybe down back 4-3, you should probably still avoid using them. And finally, yes, the infamous does have a bit more range, making whiff and block punishment slightly more consistent. But this is more of a reversion back to its Season 1 range after a stealth nerf in Season 2. Most of the Tekken 7 newcomers have slowly had their movesets fleshed out over the course of the game's competitive lifecycle, and Claudio is no exception here, with his moveset now lending itself to a clear, defined game plan. His ability to punish and control space in the mid-range is very strong, and if the opponent hesitates, they'll find themselves with their back to the wall in no time. While his pokes and lows have been improved, there's still a clear weakness, and this is part of what makes Claudio, Claudio. Starburst doesn't really help in this regard, but pushes his strengths even further. Overall, while Claudio may not have the stamina for long sets, the Italian Exorcist is very powerful in short bursts, capable of punishing even the smallest of mistakes with ease, and quickly overwhelming opponents in a fiery blaze of flamboyant hand gestures. Non commettere errori, l'eleganza può essere letale. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please see the description for a PDF of this guide, as well as a wallpaper for your desktop. As you may have noticed, we're now using licensed music in our videos, which means that we have no control over the ads and receive none of the revenue. So a huge shout out to our patrons, as without their support, these guides would not be possible. Stand by. In the next episode, we're bringing out the devil.